Okay, let's open up our Bibles to Genesis chapter 30. Genesis chapter 30, we're going to look at verses 25 to the end of the chapter, and hopefully we can get into chapter 31 as well. We'll see. Now, Jacob has, all his kids have been born, the ones that we know about. Of course, there can definitely be other girls born, but the 12 tribes, or no, I'm sorry, not all. You still have Benjamin. 11 of the 12 have been born. And he's been working off his wives, Rachel in particular. And we're going to start at verse 25. Now it came about when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own place and to my own country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me depart, for you yourself know my service which I have rendered you." Now, we've already talked about this a little bit. So the end of the 7 years of his working for Rachel is over. And my guess is that the Hebrew wording here is a little bit more harsh than the English. He's still respectful toward his father-in-law. But my guess is that he had been waiting for Laban to let him know, okay, you can go. But the time had come and gone. And so he probably went to him specifically and said, "Hey, I've worked this off. It's time for me to move on from this. Give me my family and let me go." And the reason why he says, "Give me my wives and my children," is under the agreement, since he has been working for him, his wives or his daughters, Laban's daughters, and all the children fall under his authority until the agreement's over. And the agreement is done. And he wants Laban to recognize that and send him on his way. Verse 27. But Laban said to him, "If now it pleases you, stay with me. I have divined that the Lord has blessed me on your account." Now, obviously he recognizes that it's done. He's no longer can he look at Jacob as a servant. So now he's going to treat him with a little bit more respect. And I think Jacob knows after all these years that you have to be a little rough with Laban if you want to get anything done. And the wording, when he says, "I have divined," it's literally, I have counseled or considered the omens. And what he's saying there is that he did some sort of pagan ritual. And from that, he has figured out that he's been blessed because the Lord blessed him through Jacob.
I'm sure he just isn't being Captain Obvious.
Yeah. Well, Jacob's going to bring that out here in just a moment. But he wants him to stay. He recognizes, man, I'm doing really good with Jacob. He doesn't want him to go. He wants him to stay with him. Verse 28, he continued, "Name me your wages, and I will give it." Now that's an interesting phrase. Name me your wages, and I'll give it. So it shows you that he recognizes what Jacob has done and what he can continue to do. And that kind of phraseology is not a phrase you use to a servant, but towards somebody that you, like imagine if your boss, if you were working under somebody, and they came to you, or you said you were going to leave, and they said, no, we want you to stay. Name us what you want, and we'll pay it. What are they offering you? Okay, blank check.
Which is
Partnership.
for carte blanche.
You know, yeah, it's a partner. I don't know what that language is. He's offering partnership. Let's work together. Let's be partners in this. No longer will be a servant and master or father-in-law and son. Let's be partners in this, Jacob. Name me your wages, and I'll pay it. Because it'll be worth it. He has done very well with Jacob there. Verse 29. But he said to him, "You yourself know how I have served you, and how your cattle have fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased to a multitude, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I turned. But now, when shall I provide for my own household also?" So, like Jim was saying, Jacob is making it obvious. You didn't need to consult the omens or divinity to know the truth of it. Yeah, it was from God, and it started when I got here, and you know it. And so he's setting the stage, like making sure Laban understands, yeah, I did all this, and it is because the Lord blessed me, and if I go, all this is probably going to go with me. However, Jacob cannot pass up this opportunity, because right now, what does he have? His wife and children. He's penniless. He has a big family. That's good. But he doesn't have anything. Nothing. So he needs this. So he makes those statements to him. Verse 31. So he said, "What shall I give you?" That was Laban. And Jacob said, "You shall not give me anything. If you will do this one thing for me, I will again pasture and keep your flock. Let me pass through your entire flock today, removing from there every speckled and spotted sheep, and every black one among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And such shall be my wages. So my honesty will answer for me later. When you come concerning my wages, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, will be considered stolen." Laban said, "Good, let it be according to your word." Now let's stop there. Literally, Laban says, "Behold, let it be according to your word," because what a great deal for Laban. In the Orient, the goats and sheep are predominantly sheep white, and the goats are black or brown, solid colors. Every once in a while, you might get a spotted sheep or goat, or one with slivers of different color in them, or a black sheep, but not often. It's an exception to the rule. Laban knows that. And so he was quick to jump on this. But why did he jump on it so quick? Well, that, and he knows sheep. But remember, how good was Laban at shepherding sheep compared to Jacob? What about his servants? Not very. Wouldn't you think that maybe Jacob knows something I don't? You consider this deal for a moment, because it's too good to be true. It's too good. But it shows the selfishness of Laban. He thinks, I've got him. What a great deal. He is going to lose out, and I'm going to be more wealthy. So behold, it is as you say, he says. And what are the beginning wages for Jacob? None. Zero. He starts with nothing. And he said that he would even go in, Jacob even said, I'll even go in, and I'll get all the spotted and speckled out first. But we'll see that Laban doesn't trust him to do that, because verse 34 is Laban, verse 35, so the he there is Laban. So he removed on that day the striped and spotted male goats, and all the speckled and spotted female goats, every one with white in it, and all the black ones among the sheep, and gave them into the care of his sons. And he put a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob. And Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flock. So even though Jacob said he would do that, Laban didn't trust him to do that. He wanted to make sure he got all those abnormalities out of there. And so Jacob starts with all solid brown, solid black, solid white. So he's thinking, this is going to go really well for me. What is Jacob trusting in? Yeah, because what did God tell him at Bethel? I'll take care of you. You will prosper, and I'll watch over you. And so there's a measure of faith there. But we're going to see here in the next section that Jacob is a little concerned, so he does something that's a little strange. Verse 37. Then Jacob took fresh rods of poplar and almond and plane trees and peeled white stripes in them, exposing the white which was in the rods. He set the rods which he had peeled in front of the flocks in the gutters, even in the watering troughs, where the flocks came to drink. And they mated when they came to drink. So the flocks mated by the rods, and the flocks brought forth stripes speckled and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs and made the flocks face toward the striped, all the black in the flock of Laban. And he put his own herds apart and did not put them with Laban's flock. Moreover, whenever the stronger of the flock were mating, Jacob would place the rods in the side of the flock, in the gutters, so that they might mate by the rods. But when the flock was feeble, he did not put them in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. So the man became exceedingly prosperous, and had large flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. So doing really, really well. Yes?
Up in verse, I just lost it, 29, he mentions cattle.
Yes?
Does he mean bovines, which is what we mean when we say cattle, or does he mean sheep and goats?
No, cattle. Laban, most of the nomads in that area raised cattle.
Because they're just not mentioned later.
No.
He says, I did really well by your cattle, and now we talk
Right.
sheep and goats and camels and whatever the last one was, donkeys.
Right. Well, and it looks like that Jacob is mainly a shepherd of the goats and the sheep. I probably took care of the cattle, but it doesn't look like he really started off with those. But no, yeah, they had mostly cattle, but there were sheep and goats.
Mine says livestock.
Livestock, right. But they did have cattle, and that was a major thing for the Mennonites and the others in that same region. So, what do you think about this thing he did with the wood? Interesting.
I think it was just representative of what
He wanted.
God was going to take care of it anyway. And this was just representative of how these things were going to turn out. But he was going to get the goats and sheep of the right color regardless.
I agree. I agree.
They just kind of pointed it out.
You're right. It was going to happen, and God is going to tell Jacob that the next chapter. When he says, when God brings up all those sheep and the goats, and he said, I did this for you. But Jacob was doing these rod things, and there's actually were biologists that tested this. Have you ever read that, know about that? They actually tested it. And they believe that it can actually happen to a small degree. I just shook my head. I don't know how you can figure that, and putting those things in front of sheep and cattle, I doubt is going to make them breed a certain way. Maybe Jacob thought they would, maybe not. Doesn't matter, because God took care of it and ensured that Jacob got everything he needed. Now, before, we haven't gotten to it yet, but it's not for a couple of chapters, but how long, after the 14 years, how long does Jacob serve Laban in this capacity that we just... 6 years. That's it. 6 years, and the whole of wealth of Laban transfers from Laban to Jacob, and he amasses not just a great sizable flocks, but male and female servants and donkeys and camels. Remember when we talked about the camels with Abraham and how expensive they are, and he sent 10 camels to go get a wife for his son? So they're expensive. So he's already got those as well. He is doing extremely well. How much does he have when he goes to Egypt? Not much. Not much left. Him, his family, and a group of 70. That's it. That's all he had left. Most of it went away in the famine. But he is prosperous here, and we're getting into chapter 31. Now Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what belonged to our father, he has made all this wealth. Jacob saw the attitude of Laban, and behold, it was not friendly toward him as formerly. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to his flock in the field and said to them, I see your father's attitude, that it is not friendly toward me as formerly, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and has changed my wages 10 times. However, God did not allow him to hurt me. If he spoke thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flock brought forth speckled. And if he spoke thus, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock brought forth striped. Thus God has taken away your father's livestock and given them to me. Let's stop there for a moment. So we get a little bit more insight of what was going on in those 6 years. So Laban, seeing what was going on, when that this was working out well for Jacob, he should have stopped and thought about that agreement before he said, behold, sounds good to me. He didn't, because he was selfish, and he really wanted that to gain more wealth through the work of Jacob. So he came and he changed the terms 10 times in a 6-year period, and it never goes well for him. Could you imagine how frustrating that must have been for him? So his face, whenever he would look at Jacob, was not friendly. No more did he give that smile. There's that Jacob there making me money. He's now looking at him in what kind of way, you think? He's stealing from me. The sons even think that Jacob is stealing. So, even if they can't prove it, in their minds, this is a steal. He's doing this wrong, and they don't care what the truth might be. It's wrong. And it's not going well. So Jacob is getting a little frightened. They're going to kill him and take it all. So he's wanting to leave Dodge.
In your research, did you come across how many times a year can a ewe lamb?
I did not.
Just curious.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because, again, if it's once a year, 6 years in,
And how many do they have? Just
well, singles mostly.
Is it
But
single?
again, with God, they could have been doing twins and triplets, but again, if it's 2 or 3 times a year, that can add up pretty quickly. I was just curious. Because I raised pigs.
so lambs typically only have one each time?
I believe that is
don't have both?
generally the case.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
No.
Okay. Again,
I know goats will have 3 or 4.
It's not unusual for a sheep to have more than one.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, well, that's something to research, though. I could look, or you could research that and let us know.
Again, since that's the topic, it would certainly speed things along if they could have multiple times a year.
Yeah. And we don't know how big the flock was when he first started. But didn't go Laban's way at all. And so he's worried. So he gets his wives together, tells them, here's what's going on. And verse 10, and it came about at the time when the flock were mating that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the male goats which were mating were striped, speckled, and molted. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob, and I said, here I am. He said, lift up now your eyes and see that all the male goats which are mating are striped, speckled, and molted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, where you made a vow to me. Now arise, leave this land, and return to the land of your birth. Rachel and Leah said to him, do we still have any portion or inheritance in our father's house? Are we not reckoned by him as foreigners? For he has sold us and has also entirely consumed our purchase price. Surely all the wealth which God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children now. Then do whatever God has said to you. So he brings it up to his wives, letting them know that he's going to make a change. They recognize what he's wanting, and just says, do what you want because we're happy. Because why? We're rich. We got all that wealth for us and our children. We're with you, Jacob, all the way. Because how does Laban see us? As foreigners. So it may be that he is taking out some of his frustration on his daughters as well. Who knows, maybe he's trying, we don't know how he may have tried to use them against Jacob or what, but it hasn't gone well, and so he's not treating them well either. So things aren't going well for Laban, and we're here in this chapter where we really see the mentality of Laban. Not a good guy. Not a good guy. Trying to use Jacob. He has used him for a very long time. Wanted to keep going. And then God turned the tables on him. And now he's angry. And we don't know what he's about to do. But we'll look at that next week when we get into that section when he comes after Jacob and his family. Yes.
Google says she could do 1 to 3 lambs at a time, and the gestation period is 5 months, so if you're pushing it every 8 months, so you could put out a lot of lambs in that time.
Oh,
6
yeah.
years.
Yeah, and they go up. And he probably did. Probably was like 3 each pop. Well, thank you. And so that's where we're going to end there. I wanted to get us there to verse 17 for next time to try to speed things along. I know we're going a little bit slower through this than I intended. Any comments or questions on that section?
How old do you think Laban was?
Well,
He was probably older than Rebekah.
yeah, he was the oldest brother because he was already pretty much in charge when Isaac came, or when the servant came. So he's up there, but he's, I couldn't say, but he's got to be up there.
150.
You say 150?
That'd be a guess.
Can I get 160?
Here, Jacob was
Just at David.
70 when he got there, then he
Yep.
been there
20 years?
90.
90?
Say Jacob was going to bring the
If
chicken.
his mom was.
Well, he moved that rock.
If Rebecca was
16.
whatever her age was when Jacob was born, add that together, him being the older brother, 125 to 150 probably would be a pretty good guess.
And he's still working. We're gonna see that next chapter. He goes out there and shears the sheep. Man.
And so there's going to be at least 6 years between Joseph and Benjamin?
Yeah. Oh, well, easily.
I mean, just based on where we are right now.
Yes. And that's at least one of the depictions they always get right in the pictures. They always show Joseph being the younger brother and then Benjamin being a lot younger, usually a smaller child. Spoiled. We know how that turns out for the tribe. They acted like spoiled children. Okay. And if there's no other comments or questions,
Spoiled, he gets 2 tribes.
I'm talking about Benjamin.
Oh. Maybe you got the coat of many colors.
Yeah, that's true. All right. We're going to sing What a Friend We Have in Jesus, number 664, and then we'll have the closing prayer.